All right. I wanted to take a moment and walk you through using our at-home learning environment behavior matrix. Now, this is adapted from our school-wide expectations that come from our district, elementary through high school. This is designed a little bit for our elementary environment, considering our Sandhill and our Belfer Bobcats little mascots on there. But this is totally applicable to middle school and high school kiddos as well. So the purpose of this matrix is essentially to provide clear expectations. And when we apply our school-wide expectations, behavior expectations, and think about the environment upon which they're going to be applying those expectations, it helps us clearly identify how to react and also how to act. Now, the secret to this, before I go into the process, is these behavior matrices are actually for adult behavior change. And it's crazy shift in thinking because yes, we're trying to be clear as kind with our kiddos, but this gives us the language of reinforcement. This helps us be able to recognize the behavior that we want to see repeat, such as being respectful using our school computer. When you see your kiddo doing a fantastic job of keeping their hands clean and making sure that they're using clean hands on the keys, you can go, hey, I really appreciate that you're making sure that your hands are clean. And therefore, they're going to conscientiously know that it's important for me to keep my hands clean when I'm working on my computer because that's being respectful. Now, that also gives us as adults positive energy because we're not like, stop getting the sticky hands on the computer, stop doing this, stop doing that. So it's totally a language shift for us as well. Again, this is a place that we can use the language to reinforce the behaviors that we want to continue. So there's definitely ways that we can practice, and we can also change our behavior to make sure that we're being more positive in our reinforcement rather than corrective and directive. So use this as your center point as you are the learning coach and leading our kids along the way to their success. So defining that as part of the purpose. It's yes, to help our kids be able to understand their expectations, but it's also a placemat for us to know what we're looking for so we can use that language to help reinforce the behaviors that we want to have repeat. So with this, your directions for this is to use this as a blank template. And this is a blank template that I have even right here in my hand as I'm talking to you. The matrix that you'll be given from your class or your teachers on what that looks like for each of the different ways of learning online, whether it's being, what it looks like at home. There's a column, there's entering a live class, when the teacher led whole group instruction, small group, and one-on-one. So that's kind of the teacher matrix that's going to be worked through. And I know that the teachers have a plan on how they're going to unfold and have that conversation with the students as well. So this is more of where you get to be the leader of filling out this document with your child. And I would encourage you to almost do this if you have more than one child. Do it together because it may look different for each kid, but there could be some shared expectations, or just use a different color for a different kiddo. Like if one kid is an elementary kiddo and the other is a middle school, when they're doing their assigned work, it may look differently. So you could even just color it up and just differentiate it that way. So with that, I would sit down at a nice, happy place when all of our attitudes are in a good place and sit there and start to define what it looks like in each of these areas. So you could ask questions, and sometimes your guiding questions are going to have, you're going to have an idea of what it should look like. And if your kids or children are having a tough time really thinking of something, go back to the matrix that you're about to get from your teachers as well. Like, oh, what does following instructions and rules at home look like when we're using our working space? Or should we be on time when we're working on completing our work? So again, you can have this shared resource of conversation, because the most important thing about filling this matrix out for your children is to make sure that their voice is part of it. I don't want to say the worst thing, but one of the most ineffective ways of delivering this would be, here's your expectations at home, you better follow them. That's going to create pushback naturally, and already starting behind before you even begin makes it harder work all the way through. So To set up for best success, include your children in the creation of this document. Now, a second reminder that's on here in a way that makes it fun for you as well as fun for them. And I'm talking all the way through high school here. Like if a high schooler has like a symbol or something that they want to draw on there, or like um, even color coding or something, somehow make it that uniqueness for them. And what I mean by that is when there's a visual or a sketch that goes along with each of these expectations, it makes it less um, I don't want to say it overwhelming. It's not like, oh, I've got more to do and I have more rules to follow, blah, blah, blah. It makes it more like, hey, this is what we're going to work on together. And I appreciate that you get to add a little bit of your nuance to it. So I strongly encourage just a little bit. And it doesn't have to be for every single one of them, but if there's a visual or a sketch, and you don't need to make it artsy fartsy. You could definitely make it more personal and stick figures past the test. So nonetheless, I encourage you to make it personal in that kind of way. So I think I've kind of covered everything that should be utilized in creating this. It seems very simple, but it's also very helpful. I'm providing this to you too in a digital format. Essentially in the long term, that's my goal. So you can be able to click on the tutorial that I'm doing right now, as well as take away these columns if you don't want it, or type in the areas, or if you want to just print this and use your own handwriting, do that. Again, this is your personal. If you want to print it and laminate it or put it in a sheet protector, you don't need a laminator. Don't go spend money on that. If you have a sheet protector, put it in a sheet protector. And you know what, quite honestly, post it so you're going to see it. Again, this is changing your behavior and what you're recognizing and helping those behaviors multiply rather than have to be correcting and directing all of the time. So if you have any questions, please contact your teacher. Your teacher is a great support for the learning environment, as well as if you really want to reach far out to me, I'll try to include some of my contact information, but your teacher is going to be the expert to help you celebrate the fact that you get to collaborate with a teacher and being able to have that successful relationship building progress. So I wish you the best and have a great year.